Gosh, that is so scary.
Yeah, you can't drive on it though.
You just don't want to drive on it.
No, they were saying that it's not like stable enough now or something like that.
There's no sign saying you can't.
I mean, there was a sign that said no outlet.
Okay, we're gonna, just for safety reasons, we're gonna park our car and just walk on the bridge. Now, this was a very popular, it still is a very popular hotspot for teenagers. You know, they come out here and paranormal investigators for a long time now. This crosses over a river. I don't know, this is gonna be a fun adventure. Hope you're ready for this. Smash that like button if you haven't already. We're gonna do spirit box communication here.
Shit. I'll be right back.
Those are glowing eyes.
Oh my god, there's so many animals. Those are big. And look, our car is right there.
Whatever they are, it's like going up on.
Look, no, that's white. Wait, cut back in there?
It's white?
There's a lot of them.
It could be coyotes.
Oh, heck.
Coyotes traveling.
Oh, there's just a pack of coyotes
Can we have some?
right there. They can just like run out and get on this bridge.
He's
Our
smoking
car
two
is
joints.
right next to them.
You're welcome.
So you're not gonna like what I'm gonna do right now. We're gonna go over the bridge.
Oh my god, I have to say so anything. I'm just here on my third.
We're gonna go on the bridge. So we decided to go in the car because just to be safe. Not because we were scared of any spirits or anything like that, but we don't know what's in the woods over there. We don't know if it's a, what do they call, a herd of bears?
Or a pack of coyotes.
Pack of coyotes, wolves, I don't know. I don't know what kind of animals are out here. So we're gonna feel a little bit safer right now in the car. I didn't know this, but my phone is connected on Bluetooth to the car, and you can actually use the Spirit Box apps in your car. I've done this before on many occasions. What is it that we saw? Does it say God?
I don't know. I think it said go.
Go.
Come off the bridge.
Go. What did we see over here? Should we come closer?
There's some good shit. Oh no.
It was like for a split second.
It was so fast though.
So what's your child's name? My name is Scarlet.
Are you there?
Sapphire. Yeah, that's some English. Scarlet. Sapphire. What's your name? Tony. Hello. Nice. I know what.
Who's coming?
Them. We are.
We saw him right here.
It was so white.
Here! It just said here. Are you still here? Hello?
Like now.
Go ahead, you're free to go. You're free to go. Alright, so we had to change out the battery. It was getting low. They do say that spirits will drain whatever energy that you have. That's why some people, when they go ghost hunting, their phones tend to die, their camera batteries tend to die. I carry a good amount of batteries. I have 4 fully charged batteries. And these batteries are big. They usually last me several hours, but this one got drained really fast. What is over here? We're going down Gore Orphanage Road, you know, so that car wasn't even
That car was like, no.
I thought that was the dead end right there.
Something just ran across the road up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me know here in the comments if you did see that figure that Tiffany and I seen. It was like glowing in white. And it's crazy. Usually I'll see something and you don't. We both saw
There was
that.
no way that you couldn't see that. It shot up. It was like so quick.
It was very scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me know here in the comments what you think that may have been, if it was good or evil. They do say that white beings are usually harmless and they're usually good. It could be angels. What is this? It says
do
that
not enter.
do not enter. Oh gosh, it's so tempting. What does it say up there?
It says do not enter.
No, there's some graffiti over the do not enter.
I mean, it could be a one-way, maybe.
Maybe the orphanage is still there. Or nursing home.
It burned down.
Well, there could be remnants of it. It could be all urban legend. I mean, that's why we come here. Here's the thing, though. We legit heard noises. We heard what sounded like kids playing. And we both, at the same time, saw a full-body apparition. What the heck was that? Something just hit my car. You heard that too,
I
right?
did. It was on this side, too. Well, why'd you stop?
Okay. Could have been a branch fell off a tree. But I don't know. And I'm really curious what those EVPs that came through might have said. I used 2 different spirit boxes. You can check down in the description if you want to download these spirit boxes for yourself. They're amazing. I love using them. As creepy as they sound, it's way better than using some of these other traditional spirit boxes that, you know, sometimes you hear all this sweeping. You're getting just pure sounds instead of all this radio noises and things like that. So yeah, I think they're pretty awesome. Has my stamp of approval for you to use, but please be careful. Say a prayer before and after. I tend to say my prayers more after. Sometimes I will say.
Damn, it's like that. Someone film that shit.
To provide context, I'm a registered nurse in a small to mid-sized rural emergency department. I've been doing this job for about 4 years, and one of the biggest problems we've had in my time here has been the prevalence of drug abuse and mental illness. I don't live in a tiny rinky-dink town, nor do I live in a huge metropolitan area, but imagine more of a middle-ground city and otherwise a highly rural area of farmlands and aforementioned rinky-dink towns. Given the size of my city, we deal with a lot of substance abuse and subsequent mental illness. The majority of cases we see are meth-induced. This is the PSA of my story where I say, please, for the love of God, for your own sake and the people you love, do not do meth under any circumstances. It will absolutely and irreparably mess your life up in so many ways. One thing that many people don't realize is that hard drug use can lead to mental illness. A lot of the times, however, it's a chicken and egg scenario regarding whether the person had mental illness prior to the drug use or whether it was the cause. On this night, one of our local EMS crews was called for a person having a drug-induced psychosis. He was brought into our psychiatric holding area, being escorted by both the EMS crew and our local police officers. One glance at this guy and I could tell he was legitimately having a psychosis. He was in his mid-40s to mid-50s, had unkempt gray hair, unshaven, tattered, and dirty clothes. Imagine a movie's portrayal of the crazy homeless man archetype, and he fit the profile well. In typical psychosis fashion, he was extremely paranoid and was verbally hostile towards staff in fear of what he was perceiving as a threat against his life. Everyone was patient with him, and we were trying to de-escalate him without having to physically restrain him for his and our safety. But it was becoming apparent that we wouldn't be able to simply calm him down verbally. I talked to the doctor, and we agreed to give him a shot of an antipsychotic. I drew it up into a syringe and headed back to the psych area. I entered the room, and there were still a lot of people in there with him. We had a couple of our ER staff, at least one of our hospital security, and at least 3 or 4 police officers just trying to keep this guy together. Admittedly, he was doing slightly better than when I had left him a few minutes ago. The shouting was at a minimum now, and it looked like all he needed was the shot to help him relax. I approached him with the syringe and told him I would be giving him a shot, and obviously, he became paranoid because, again, he was perceiving us as trying to harm him. After a little more calming him down, I prepared to give him a shot in his right shoulder. I lifted up his t-shirt sleeve, cleaned the site, and grabbed the muscle while he was talking to one of the police officers. I told him that I was going to stick him and gave him the customary 1, 2, 3 countdown as I stuck the needle into his shoulder. A quick explanation of my shot-giving technique is necessary before moving ahead. When I give a shot, I hold the syringe by the barrel like you would hold a dart before throwing it, between my thumb and index finger with the needle pointing towards the patient, obviously. After the needle is in, I make a split-second move where I rotate my hand so that the barrel of the syringe is between my index and middle fingers, much like you would hold a cigarette. From there, my thumb is free to push the plunger and administer the medication. Anyway, shortly after I stick the needle in this guy, he apparently forgot that I would be sticking him despite my warning not seconds before. He proceeded to freak out at the worst possible time. He turned to look at his arm, clearly alarmed by the syringe poking out of him. At this point, I was getting ready to switch my grip on the syringe from the dart grip to the cigarette grip, but his reaction to getting stuck caused him to pull away from me just as my grip was changing. He leaned to his left and the syringe stayed in his arm as he moved away. From there, he pulled the syringe and still attached needle from his arm with his left hand, raised it, and went after me with it as a weapon. The officers reacted by this point and start to go for the guy to stop him. I heard one of them shout needle, which I assume was the police way of calling out the weapon present in the room. As they're subduing him, his momentum continued towards me. Still shocked, I tried my best to get out of the way, but still felt an impact as something hit my left thigh. The syringe and needle fell to the floor, and I saw that the needle was bent. By now, almost everyone in the room was on the patient, who was now screaming at the top of his lungs, as staff worked to restrain him to the bed. I reached for the needle and syringe simply to get it out of the way for everyone else and to make sure that everyone had everything they needed during the restraint. At this point, I began to realize exactly what had happened and that I had been attacked. Oh God, please don't tell me that needle hit me. I was terrified thinking of what diseases and nasty shit this guy potentially had that I was exposed to. While contemplating my future life with HIV and hepatitis, I stepped into the bathroom to inspect the damage to my leg. I was so relieved when I found my leg was unscathed. The only explanation I can think of is that somehow the needle hit the pack of gum that was in my left pocket at the time. Wrigley, if you ever need a spokesperson, please have your people get in contact with my people. After the situation had resolved, one of the police officers approached me and asked if I wanted to press charges against the guy. I initially said no because I felt sorry for the guy. He had psychiatric problems, he can't control what he's doing. As that shift progressed, however, my feelings began to change. Why should I protect this guy because he was methed out of his mind and attacked me? Why should I let this guy get away with giving me anxiety and making me feel uneasy for the rest of my career with psych patients? I later called the officer back and pressed charges against the patient. As of about 2 years ago, nothing has come of the charges because the patient wasn't in his right mind. Again, please, for everyone's sake, don't do meth. This next story is from the same person, so consider it a continuation. After a couple of years of career development, I found myself in a leadership role in the ER. I had been given the title of night shift charge nurse over my department, and my confidence was high. I finally had the opportunity to show everyone my leadership skills and how well I could run the department. I truly thought I could make a difference. On this night, one of our ambulances got called for a car versus semi collision. The patient was the driver of the car.
Oh shit. I guess it's time to go to bed. And Daddy? Yeah, what's up? I have to go to work tomorrow too. Oh good. You can move in. Enough for you can move early or, you know, whenever. Thanks. You're welcome. Guess it's time to go to bed. Wake up in the morning. Do it up. Oh shit. Okay, I guess they went to work. Oh good. Guess let's watch some more YouTube. I guess.
Was in his 30s or 40s. The medics in the ambulance mentioned that the collision may have been intentional as a suicide attempt. There was no obvious injuries that I noted when he first arrived, and he appeared to be calm. When I saw that the situation was under control, I stepped back and looked over the rest of the department. I didn't hear anything about him for the rest of the time that he was there. I don't remember why, but he was going to be admitted to the hospital. So the nurse called report to the floor, and we arranged for transport to his room upstairs. Because he could have possibly attempted suicide, he was placed in a 1-to-1 watch while he was in the ER, so the tech that was doing the watch was going to take him upstairs. Additionally, because he was a 1-to-1 watch, they needed to be escorted by a security guard. According to the tech, he had been asleep for quite some time prior to his transport. The security guard arrived and the tech woke the patient up for the transport. Once he woke up, all hell broke loose. He immediately got up from the bed and began talking nonsense, eventually escalating to yelling nonsense. With my workstation being right outside the room, I got up and went straight into the room. When I entered through the curtain, I saw the tech and the security guard standing opposite of the guy trying to talk him down. At this point, the guy was standing in the middle of the room, bare-ass naked, and had ripped out his IV. His posturing was threatening, and things looked like it would get violent unless the situation diffused. The security guard immediately called for backup and calmly tried to approach the patient. It was at this point that the guy attacked the guard by punching him in the face. The patient continued to go after the guard, but the guard managed to get him pinned against some cabinets in the room. I stepped up to try to hold the patient's arms back. I yelled for the secretary at the nurse's station to call the police. Not long afterward, the other security guard arrived and tried to help. To paint a better picture, the patient is standing with his back against a counter and some cabinets, still yelling nonsensically in his psychotic tangent. Security guard 1 is bear hugging him around his chest and abdomen, much like a football tackle. I'm standing by the patient's side between him and the door, doing my best to hold his arms back from hitting anybody else. Enter the second guard, who approached the patient from the front and was trying to see what he could do to help. He unfortunately got too close, and the patient saw an opportunity. He cocked his head back in a split second and headbutted the second guard in the face with full force. The patient's head struck the guard right above his brow, which immediately split open and began dripping blood. That loud, dull thud of bare skull-on-skull contact is a sickening sound that I will never forget. Immediately following that, we got the patient's feet out from under him and brought him down to the floor. The security guard, with his head gashed open, was still trying to help us and was dripping blood all over the floor and the patient. By this time, other people had heard the commotion and came to help. The secretary had called 911 and we were just waiting on the police to get there. All we had to do was keep this guy held down. Granted, this was about an average-sized guy, but he was still quite the fighter. We simply were unable to hold him down on the ground by his limbs, so I ended up kneeling with my entire weight onto his back to keep him down. Again, my entire 250-pound frame was kneeling with my entire weight on this guy's back, and was barely phasing him. He kept shouting for his little buddy to come save him, so that they could run away to Alaska or something like that. When I think back on the situation, it was honestly kinda sad. This guy was clearly having a psychotic episode and didn't intentionally try to harm us. But in that moment, all I felt was rage. White, hot, boiling rage for what he did to my coworkers and friends. If I knew there wouldn't be any repercussions for my actions, I can't say that I wouldn't have beaten the absolute piss out of the guy in the moment. After the police arrived, we were able to get the patient restrained to the bed and sedated him without any issue. Once the situation was more under control, we registered both of the security guards for treatment. The first guard had no injuries and the other guard had his wound stitched up. Other than the wound on his head and being slightly dazed, he was fine. No one else was injured during the event. Shortly after I walked out of the room, the gravity of what had just happened hit me really hard. I quickly made my way to an empty room and closed the door before I absolutely lost it. I sobbed as silently as I could as I contemplated what had just happened. This guy had just gone full-blown apeshit on us and there was absolutely nothing I could do. I was the leader of these people, and they were put into a dangerous situation in what is supposed to be one of the safest places in the community. One of my responsibilities was to keep things under control, and I had just messed that up in a major way. Maybe I wasn't as capable of doing this job as I thought. I took a few minutes to let my emotions run their course and collected myself before heading back out to finish the shift. Not long after that incident, I stepped down from being a charge nurse, both for reasons related and unrelated to these events. I've since gone back to being a regular staff nurse in the ER, and I honestly prefer that. I haven't gone back to the charge nurse role again and most likely never will. I still get anxious before every shift I work, always worrying about what dangerous situation my coworkers and I may face in the ensuing 12-hour shift. I'm a night shift nurse who has been working at a veterans hospital for the past 3 years. My unit is located at the basement of the hospital. I chose to do 12-hour night shifts because it was quiet and relaxing for the most part before the rush begins in the morning after we leave. Last night, I was sitting at the nurses' station at 12:30 a.m. catching up on The Walking Dead, and I had the urge to use the restroom. I go into the restroom, do my business, and everything seemed completely normal. This restroom is a unisex restroom, so the entire staff uses it. As I process to head to the sink to wash my hands and
Might as well go buy some guns because I don't have any guns. So I'm not gonna take that car, I'm taking this car.
Relationships fail because... Hey there!
You fucking dick!
You fucker!
Here we are at the gun shop.
I hit you!
You're fucking nothing!
Not so tough now, huh?
Hey, I like some guns. Yeah, sure. Pistols. This. That. 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 Shit. That. 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 Thank you. Thank you so much. I guess let's go home. Oh, YouTube. What's the time? Okay, so it's 1 PM. Nice. Let's go out for smoke. And then, yeah. Let's go back home. My friends who I met in jail, they're still in jail. But I'm out, but I'm not out yet. So, yeah, you know.
What, you don't see me driving?
I told this guy what I can trust, he can be the boss. Because, you know, I'm getting out. So, yeah. There you are. Got every single weapon now. Nice.
I'm insured on Tracy's car, right? Daddy's home.
Guess let's go to bed. Wake up in the morning. What's the time? Okay, so it's 7 AM. 7:06 AM. That's 7:07 AM. Nice. Guess let's watch YouTube.
Expected you to do like 30 things per step. There's just so much going on for one page. It got me feeling like I'm looking at the plans to the Death Star. Like, bro, I thought this was just a desk. Or maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know. But anyways, I was trying to put this thing together, gather the 50 items I need all for step 1, when I see my phone light up in the corner of the room. I get this email notification, and it was from this website I used to resell shoes and clothes on for extra money back in high school, and the email is saying they had a site-wide breach. Basically, their computer servers got finessed by some foreign hackers that got everybody's emails, usernames, and passwords, and now they have access to everybody's accounts. And when I read the email, I didn't really think much of it, just because I didn't really use the site anymore. But more than that, I was just so focused on the desk and the stupid instructions, and wanted to get back to that, so I kind of just brushed it off. I'm like, whatever, I don't even sell stuff on there anymore. I had to remove my address and bank info from that website months ago, so even if they can get into my account, it's not like they could even do anything with it anyways. So I just go back to figuring out the desk, and I'm proud to say it was like 3:30 AM. I finally finished putting it together, and I was honestly so tired that I just crashed. I completely forgot about the whole hacker email from earlier, woke up the next day, and didn't even think about it. Now fast forward 2 months, I'm chilling at home one night playing some Xbox, and I was like, I should probably get off and get some work done on a video. And a lot of the time when I work on videos, I'll listen to music while I work. So I open up Spotify, which is superior to Apple Music, by the way. I'm not trying to be controversial, it just is. And if you have something other than those two, you don't even get to be a part of this conversation. But anyways, I open up Spotify, and it'll show you the last listened to song at the bottom of your screen, right? But it shows some weird song that I have no recollection of ever listening to, so I'm like, that's weird, I don't remember listening to this ever. And then the play button just clicked itself without me even touching anything. just started playing this random song all on its own. And it was strange because it was this really weird, creepy, eerie song that nobody would listen to normally. Like, this was not regular music. So I'm like, okay, that was weird, and I paused the song, and then less than a few seconds later, it starts playing this creepy music all by itself again. It's the middle of the night, this creepy song starts playing on its own. I'm thinking, like, what's going on here? Like, did my computer get possessed or something? Like, I'm really not trying to have to deal with demons and ghosts right now. What's next? The lights are about to turn off? My computer's gonna fly across the room? Like, I'm just trying to finish this video. So I stopped the song again, and this time it actually stopped, didn't start playing again. So I'm like, alright, cool. And I play my own music for a little bit, finally work in peace for a couple of hours, and then right before I go to bed, I notice a couple more emails on my phone, this time from Spotify, saying they noticed a suspicious login to my account, and to change my password if this wasn't me. And right as I'm reading this, the song I was listening to switched back to the same one from earlier, and that's when it clicked. The hackers from the same website a couple months ago had my password from that website and must have tried the same login info for my Spotify account, and I guess it worked for them. So right away, I made sure none of my other passwords, like to my bank or anything, were the same, which luckily they weren't. And I don't know what they were doing listening to weird, creepy music or whatever, but I'm not gonna lie, I was in a good mood that night, so I'm like, you know, I'm about to go to sleep. I'm in a good mood. I said I'm about to bring out my inner Gandhi, do a good deed, and just let this guy listen to his music on a free Spotify account, courtesy of me. Plus, I'll probably get some good karma for this sometime in the future, right? Fast forward to the next night, I open up my Spotify to see if our little friend is on right now or not, and he wasn't, so I start playing music without headphones this time and get to working. And then sure enough, like an hour later, he hops on from his end. I immediately knew it was him because he started playing this really loud, like the most obnoxious song you've ever heard. And this one actually had words. I have no idea what language it was in. Nothing I had ever heard before. So I'm like, alright, man's on the other end, you gotta go, alright? Like, your free trial is up. So I go to change my password and therefore log him out of the account. Turns out, somehow while I was gone, he replaced my email on my account with his email, and it wasn't letting me change it back to mine. So if I try to reset the password, the request is just gonna get sent to his email address. There I am, all confident I'm about to kick him out, get my account back, and then when I find out my own account just got finessed from me, I'm like... I thought I was supposed to get good karma for this, not do something nice and then get backstabbed. I basically went to go get my account back, and the hacker really just said, "Stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance." So I checked the Spotify email from last night again, and it tells me the location of the IP address of the suspicious login was from India, and it was at this moment that I thought I was checkmated. Like, honestly, I was an idiot. I shouldn't have been nice and let some random dude from halfway across the world use my Spotify account. I mean, this whole thing kinda was half my fault. And now I start panicking because I have years worth of playlists and hundreds upon hundreds of songs that I had saved. Like, I don't want to lose all of that. This dude could just delete it at any point and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it because he's holding my Spotify account hostage. And this whole time, he's been playing the same loud, the most obnoxious song you've ever heard. Like, seriously, this dude did not have good taste in music. First this, now this. So I'm like, let me change it to something better. So I changed it. I remember this very clearly because it was a Lil Uzi song, and he changed it back to his song almost instantly. I changed it back to mine, and he changed it back to his again. And he was on top of it too, like there was no delay. Within 3 seconds, he would change it back to his jam. Like, he was quick with it. I'm like, oh, so he wants to battle? Alright, I'll play his little game here. So we're just going back and forth for like 2 minutes. My song, his song, my song, his song. Half of me just wanted to see how long he was gonna keep this up for. And it was getting to be really intense too. Then my Spotify app crashed. I'm like, dang, he probably thought I gave up or something. Psych, I started back up again. And into like 20 seconds while I was gone, my guy turned up the volume to like the max. So right when I started the app, I was instantly greeted with... So I switched the song back, we're back to battling, back and forth, back and forth. I'm just imagining during all of this, some dude in India like hunched over his computer, 100% determined to keep his song playing at all times. Like, come on dude, isn't there somebody else you can go hack? I was even nice to you and this is how you repay me? So there I am, too focused on handling the current situation to care that my laptop is blasting this hodgepodge of music. Keep in mind, it's like 2 a.m. My brother is probably in the next room over trying to sleep thinking, well, I don't remember this remix. And then I get another email on my phone. I found out this dude just logged into my Hulu account too, because your Hulu and Spotify accounts are connected to each other. I'm like, you're not even, like, what even is your plan here? You're gonna watch shows and listen to your at the same time, like, how is that even gonna work? Can you please go bother somebody else? And it was at this point that I'm starting to realize, like, I'm really losing this battle right now. Like, I need to call in reinforcements. So I call up CIA Cybersecurity Division. No, it was actually just Spotify chat support. But they ended up being just as helpful. Long story short, it took a while and was kind of a hassle, but they eventually locked him out of the account, made sure I got everything back, and everything ended up being all good at the end of the day. But I learned my lesson that day about using the same password twice. At least it happened with my Spotify though, and not like my bank account. From that day on, I definitely made sure not to use the same passwords anymore. And that about wraps up the video. Remember to like it if you enjoyed it. I was thinking for the next video, it'll be a little shorter, so there's less of a wait in between. But other than that, I hope you all are having an amazing day, week, whatever. And I'll see you all in the next one.
When I was younger, my older cousin swears that this happened to her. I'm still not sure if I believe her, but I'll let you decide. One night when I was 16, I spent the night at a friend's house. Neither of us had tried Bloody Mary before, and we decided that tonight was the night that we would. If you have somehow managed to miss that part of your childhood, Bloody Mary is the urban legend that claims if you stand in front of a mirror in the dark, spin around and chant Bloody Mary 3 times, she will appear in the mirror and claw your face. So, my friend and I went into the bathroom, turned off the lights, lit some candles, and spun around, chanting, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. We opened our eyes, and there, in the mirror, was a head so covered in blood that it was just completely red. We screamed and ran out of the bathroom and never went back in the rest of the night. When it was time for bed, my friend's father came in to tell us goodnight. Hey girls, he said, are any of you on your period by any chance? No. Why do you ask? Oh, okay, well, there's blood on the bathroom floor, so I'd like you to clean it up when you get a chance, please. What do you think of Bloody Mary? Have you ever dared to try it? Let us know in the comments. Until next time,
just part of an experiment. Put some pictures up online, got some good feedback, and decided there was something in it. I'm Robin Grasby, founder of Alt Rock. We make bespoke custom terrazzo in London, UK. What really makes it something real?
This is what he told me. I lived in a rural town in the Visayan Islands of the Philippines. I was in my mid-20s and working late one night. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning when I began to walk my way to the bus station, my way lit only by the full moon. I've walked this path many times. I passed by this house that had a dog in the yard that would always bark at me when I passed. But tonight, it just stared and just watched as I walked by. And that's when I heard it. A very strange sound in the distance. I had heard of the tikwi, sometimes known as a wak-wak or oswak.
Okay.
It separates from the lower half of its
Where the
body
fuck
to
are you,
fly
bitch?
around at night,
Okay,
searching
gun.
for any living soul
Pow,
to
pow,
rip
pow.
out their hearts with their taloned feet.
Fucking
and
shoot
beaks.
it.
And when you hear its call, you know it's hungry. So I
Fuck, shoot
continued
it.
walking towards the bus station, and I could still faintly
You know,
hear the
kill it.
sound. And I saw that there was a
Oh,
security
it's a
booth with a
grenade
guard
launcher.
inside. I
Boom,
didn't want to
boom,
wait at the station
boom,
alone,
you know?
so I slipped inside the booth
Oh, it's a rocket
and waited
launcher.
with the guard.
No.
I still wasn't sure if I was imagining the sound, but from the look
With
on the guard's
minigun.
face, I'm pretty sure he heard it too. So we both just sat there, motionless.
Oh, rocket launcher.
Finally, the bus
Hold
arrived,
up.
and I ran out of the booth and onto the bus and rode all the way home. The sounds of the tikwi.
If that
growing
fucking happened to
fainter
me,
and fainter.
then I
The
will,
next day, I told my coworkers
would
what had happened, and
would
that's
kill
when one
that-
of them told me.
kill that
Tikwi's
creature.
are
Pow,
master
pow,
tricksters.
pow.
The further away they sound, the closer they are. So,
Show
do you
them
think I
who's
was really
fucking
a
boss.
tikwi that was